Hey, you made it to module two. All right. So in this module, we're going to it's going to cover unit 3 and 4. And unit 3 is going to define some of the terms will be used throughout the course, the obvious terms, such as appraisal, land site, real estate, and real property and personal property. And real important in this module is that we're going to talk about fixtures. We're going to define what a fixture is and look at the legal test that determines whether an item is a fixture or not. This is really, really important. It's been my experience that sellers and buyers both often confuse what stays with a home, which would be a fixture, and what does not. And this can be a huge stressor in a transaction. And some of the most common issues that come to mind are chandeliers, mirrors, curtains, and outdoor decor and items such as like maybe grills or landscape rocks and even plants. And so as a real estate professional, it's very, very important that you are able to identify these things and kind of have a sense of what stands out that might be valuable to the seller. For example, a chandelier, maybe it's a very unique chandelier, not something you would be able to go and see in a store. Maybe it's been in the family for a long time, and to the seller, they think nothing of it. I'm going to take the chandelier down and pack it up when we move. But the truth is, it's a fixture. So the buyer comes in and sees the home, falls in love with the home, and particularly this chandelier. Then they do their final walkthrough before closing. That chandelier's gone, and boom, we have a problem. So it's a good practice for a listing agent to walk through the property with the seller and maybe point out some really neat items such as curtains that might match a bedspread that are fixtures, and just say, hey, just want to make sure, do you want this chandelier or is it staying with the home? And a really good practice to save yourself stress later on in a transaction would be to say, well, if you want that chandelier, let's go ahead and take it down now before we take photos and before we show the home, because we don't want a buyer to come through here and fall in love with it. Now, I do understand that sometimes there are fixtures that the seller's going to take that really do help stage the home. And if that's the case, we need to make sure that we identify very clearly somewhere in the MLS, or maybe even a note in that room that says, hey, this particular item, this chandelier will be going, is excluded. It'll be going with the seller. And then in unit 4, we're going to discuss how real estate is legally described, which is also important. We have to know that, and how it may be owned, the types of ownership, how it may be restricted, and how title may be transferred, because there are lots of different ways to have ownership and to take title of a property. We're also going to describe the elements of a real estate transaction, including contracts, transfer of title, and also we will talk quite a bit on lease agreements. So as always, if you have any questions for me, please reach out to me on the discussion board, and have a great week, you guys.